What's going on, guys? It's Andy Mattis here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about 5 mistakes that new coaches make when they come into the online coaching consulting space. Okay, so I'm going to be telling you these so that you can avoid them, and just in case you're new to the channel, my name's Andy Mattis. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content that I release. So with this video, we're going to be basically talking about Facebook organic marketing specifically. So I'm going to be giving you 5 pitfalls that new marketers kind of like fall into so that you can avoid them. And number 1 is basically in Messenger, basically chasing a ridiculous amount of conversations over quality engagement. Okay, so you see this sometimes. You see, a lot of coaches out there, they sort of copy each other. They tell you it's a numbers game, and while this online game, while this is true to a certain degree, it being like a numbers game, it's also a relationship game. So it's really about, how can you sort of build good quality connections with the people that you're talking to. All right. So with like the number game thing that people kind of talk about, what a lot of coaches out there are teaching you to do is to literally just go into your, messenger inbox and just message like, 50 to 100 people, saying that it's a numbers game. If you message enough people, it's going to sort of work out, rah, rah, rah. And while it may be true to a certain degree, it's really about how can I have quality conversations over ridiculous volumes of conversations. Okay, mistake number 2 is a non-existent or poor follow-up process. Okay, so with this one, I always like to say it's just a case of simple maths. So we just do some simple maths. Let's say, example, you're marketing on Facebook and you're having 25 conversations per day, okay, Monday to Friday. So that's 125 conversations per week, okay, which adds up to over 500 conversations per month. Okay, now if you're not using some kind of CRM, keep track of good quality leads, then I think it kind of goes without saying, out of those 500 conversations, you're going to be leaving a lot of money on the table. So it's really good to have like, a CRM to kind of, add tasks, add good quality leads into there, to set reminders for things that you need to do. Because honestly, like since I've been using this stuff, like this is something that tripped me up at the start. And since I've been using this stuff, often when I go in there, I may have had a conversation with someone the day before. My CRM's telling me the next day that I need to, follow up with this person, send them a message. And I'm thinking in my head, like, who is this person? It's only when I go into the inbox I remember the conversation. So it's really good to have these things to just keep everything kind of organized and make sure that there's no money sort of falling through the cracks. Because if you're not using something like this, I'm sure you probably resonate with this, because it used to happen to me all the time. Was like, I'll be talking with somebody, they'll be like, yeah, I'm really interested. And then they'd slip through the net, I forget about them. And then a couple of months later, I see that they signed up for somebody else's program because I've just basically left them on a stranded island and I haven't come along and rescued them like they've asked me to, kind of thing. All right. Pitfall number 3 is just lacking a connection with the people that you're speaking with on social media. Okay, so often, this one boils back to, the messenger. I'm sure if you've been on Facebook and you're in the online coaching consultant space, you've seen this a million times before, where you get a friend request from somebody will, you'll accept their friend request and instantly they come straight in with a pitch. Okay, and usually, 1 or 2 things happen. They're either going to respond or they're just going to get ghosted in Messenger, right? And the reason that they're getting ghosted is because there's a lack of connection. And I always use this analogy. If you've been following my content, you may have heard me use this one before. Just imagine you're walking down the road, you're minding your own business, and a complete stranger just walks over, just taps you on the shoulder, and is trying to sell you something. Like, what is 90% of people going to do? They're going to keep walking, they're going to pull some dirty face and they're going to just, walk on and mind their business, right? And it's the exact same when you do that to somebody in Facebook Messenger who doesn't know you. You just come straight in with a pitch. There's a lack of connection there. So you try and focus on building some rapport, building a bit of connection with this person first before you try pitching them anything. And it's really important to remember you should only ever pitch somebody if they actually need your services. And the only way for you to find out is to sort of, speak with them, ask them some questions and stuff like that. Okay. Pitfall number 4 is getting stuck in the friend zone for longer than you need to. Okay. So I always like to use this analogy of, let's imagine that you're sick and you've got to go in and see your doctor, right? You may walk into the room, the doctor may greet you quickly, but they quickly switch to asking intention-driven questions, right? And adopting the same approach in your Facebook Messenger is very important. You can have a little greet, build a little bit of rapport with this person, but then you want to switch to, asking intention-driven questions so that you can find the problem, diagnose that problem, and then potentially offer a solution to the problem if you are able to do that. Okay. A lot of times people, they want to, they know they need to build rapport, but then they get stuck in that friend zone. And if you get stuck in that friend zone for too long, it's very difficult to then advance the relationship forward. So it's very important to not stay in that zone for longer than you need to, okay? And then step number 5, pitfall number 5 is the value pitfall, okay? And this is something that we always hear online from everybody, all of the gurus. You need to provide value, you need to provide value. And while that stuff is very important, value alone is not going to move the needle for your business, okay? So like, you have to be strategic with how you give value, okay? If somebody comes to you saying, oh, Andy, I've got a problem with my mindset, like I'm really struggling, I need help with this, and you're just like, okay, yeah, I've had that problem before, I went and read this book, rah rah rah. Obviously in that person's mind, they're going to now think, right, okay, I'm going to go over and try and read that book, okay? And you've just basically lost yourself a potential sale where you could have actually coached this person on actually fixing that problem, right? Even if it's something that they may need still, the coaching, like in their mind, they now perceive it as something that they don't need, therefore they're not going to, advance forward into your coaching, okay? So just kind of be strategic, don't just be like, oh, these random people just giving value. You have to be strategic about how you do it, okay? And when you do give value, make sure that it's real value, is actually actionable content, because there's so much noise out there like, oh, I'm providing value, and half the time it's not even actionable, okay? So make sure the content you're giving is actual real value, actually actionable, but then also be strategic about how and when you do give value,